back in the gig, I go scoring the mods, or basic exam Stella. Again, when I'm in the Yemstigate, to back in the Gamachi Dona. So at this time, I'll ask the drum group in front of us here to render us the opening song. Miigwech.
Waja. En askemun udah beji nibuyan quick kaji chigean. Moose factory, moose cree, dochi. Egmaga en askemun udah nibuyak Fort William territory shitayak. En askemak shemendo. Kayam chiganaga kaji yomian. En askemun shemendo. Kinaskum din udamina beji nakskadna no kunta. Kuyaspu keje nagastaya kuma apetsion gabeje pagingadek. Kuyasma genesta kinagashagno jegwashi shagoche. Keje bejem lubul jikni gandek ya. Nagdalamig mseo dagadabeji itajik ksheawak sko nabeo egumaganista uskatisak. Nagdalamig uda igibeji tutejik ibejin tutegi. Nagdalamig mswe ugamakanishik nista kabeji tutejik. Kuyas kabeji nagastajik melo abetsirno washishakuche. Egumaganista nagadeltum sevegyokan kabeji miliak. Uda askik. Bejuichinan maganista kejinagastayak aski egumaga nipi. Kinanaskum din kshemento ebeji miliak and higyokana kejabastayak kuyask ayamun egumaganista ksitawiwan. Kuyas bugayabastayak and higyokana Sakiwewen, Miswesabuguan Higyokana Gabijabagnaman, Gabat Stayak, Ude Machiak. Egumaganista, Mr. Nagatelamig and Dikamade Bijig, Vegin Totegik. Kuyask Nagatelamig Mustangi, Galam Higujig of Matsuno, Kuyaskimska Higyokan, Goshu Matsu Jiguche. Egumaga Nagatelamig and Giwashishak, Amadealam Sujiganoch, Egarayo Jagunigo. Kemskaki tandegi kuyaskaju machu jignas tuilo. Egomagon uta kuyaskajim hituyak kuyasmagi nagachtayakuma galmek abetsuan. Ketu kuyachik washishak nigandekel. Wilo mandane katapumato nigandekel. Egodemagande kuyaskaj nagachtayakuma matsuan. Kinanaskum dimsti kshemendo utte beju itayen beju ichinanum da itayak. Kinanaskum din kshemendo kinanaskum din kimaskum din. Thank you, Creator.
Miigwech, Stella. Miigwech to the drummers for the song and the prayer. So the first order of business is for this assembly to adopt the chairpersons that will run this meeting for us for the next 2 days. And we have Adam. Adam disappeared. Adam Fiddler, and there is, and the youth co-chair is Summer Spade. So there's a resolution here or a motion. Be it resolved that the chairpersons of the Anishinaabe Nation 2024 Special Chiefs Assembly on Social Services, May 22 and 23rd, 2023, shall be Adam Fiddler and Youth Co-Chair Summer Spade. Dated at Thunder Bay, Ontario, this 14th day of May 2024. So I need a mover. Okay. Oh. Thank you. And Sunny? Okay. So we have a mover, a seconder. Any objections, or are you concerned about Adam or someone? Yeah. Okay. They raised their hands. If they support the motion, I think you have to raise your hand if you support the motion. All right, miigwech. So we have Adam and Summer to run this meeting for us, and miigwech for being here, and miigwech Adam and Summer for agreeing to chair this meeting for us. Miigwech.
Grab my agenda back too. Is that my agenda? Is that mine or yours? Yeah, that's yours. Miigwech kchugmakan mi gwaji mina inongum kakjibayak mi mina maga bijayak. It's good to see everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the drum. Na nakumaga gipakanamwach gumina kchiha na Stella Simmons ka gipakanang ka kjibayam chigich miigwech dinag. Just to let you know, Stella is the elder for the Social Services, I don't know if I should say department or Social Services programs. And of course, this is a special assembly pretty much dealing with one issue, and that's social services. Just a reminder, we have some very important discussion happening for this assembly. Of course, you're all aware there are national negotiations underway, and as part of the negotiations, the team at NAN is coming back and getting some direction from the chiefs in assembly. Of course, during negotiations, it's not public, and this session is very important that we are strategizing and we are giving direction to the team at Anishinaabe Nation on how to proceed in those negotiations. Of course, we don't listen to the internal strategy sessions of the other party, and it's very important to have open, honest discussion here at this level. But we don't disclose that information to the other side. So a lot of this assembly will be in camera. And I want to say this, it's not that we don't want our communities and our community members to hear the discussion, it's that we don't want the other party to hear the discussion. And as part of that, we will be required to go in camera to have that very important discussion. Of course, it will all come out later. So I just wanted to reaffirm that, and Grand Chief Fiddler and Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse will be talking a little bit about that, and I just wanted to highlight that again. We sabu bin ma gwayak bayatag doesn't jiganung egawin janu damwad bin mau gumawan and is doesn't jigek. That's the purpose of going in camera for a lot of these discussions. So again, it's good to be here. Thank you for allowing us, myself and our youth co-chair, to be here, and I'll let Summer introduce herself. And I look forward to the next 2 days. So with that, I'll get Summer to introduce herself.
Bonjour, I'm Summer. I come from Deer Lake First Nation and Mishkigogama First Nation. I graduated from college last year from the College Access Program, and I've been working with the RMIC on and off over the summer since I've been in college. Which?
Miigwech, really looking forward to working with Summer over the next 2 days. Procedural motions to deal with. To get started, of course, we'd like to go through the rules of procedure and adopting the agenda. In your kits, everybody should have a kit. We have the rules of procedure. They are the standard rules of procedure. There are no changes. For this assembly, we'd like to get right down to business because, as indicated, we have some important discussion to take place. So we'd like to just get into the rules of procedure, adopt the rules, and continue on so that we can conduct business. So we do have a resolution. I won't go through the rules. Again, there's no changes. It's the rules that have been followed the last couple of years. But I do have a resolution to accept the rules and procedures. So I don't know what resolution number it is actually, if I can have it up on the screen. On my draft, it's not numbered, but it's the adoption of the rules and procedures for the 2024 NAN Special Chiefs Assembly on Social Services. I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder, but it reads, be it resolved that the rules and procedures are adopted for the purposes of the 2024 Anishinaabe Nation Special Chiefs Assembly, May 22 and 23, 2024, dated at Thunder Bay, Ontario, this 22nd day of May 2024. So can I have a mover? Can I have a mover? Chief Batiste, Miigwech, seconder. Chief Constance Lake. Any opposition? Might as well get your hands raised. All in favor? Okay, miigwech, thank you. We'll follow the rules as previously identified. So we'll go through the agenda. I think you have a copy of the agenda. I hope you have a copy. If you don't, raise your hand, let us know. Okay. So, of course, this is the NAN Special Chiefs Assembly on Social Services, May 22, 23. 8 a.m. this morning, registration was open for chiefs and delegates. 9 a.m. we have the NAN drum and the opening prayer. Again, I'd like to acknowledge Stella Shimmons, elder from Moose Cree. 9:15 on the agenda, the call to order by the chairpersons. So I'm going to actually do that now. I didn't formally do it. I now call the meeting to order. Don't have the time, but if somebody can make note of the time. The review of the acceptance of the rules and procedure and the review and the acceptance of the draft agenda. 9:30, we'll have the opening address. Of course, a reminder, this two-day session is a Special Chiefs on Social Services, and the discussion will be led by Deputy Grand Chief Bobby Narcisse, but we do have Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler here. He will be providing opening remarks. And then we have on the agenda Deputy Grand Chief Bobby Narcisse. We also have the rest of the executive here, and I believe Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse will be inviting up Deputy Grand Chief Ajnibneskam and Deputy Grand Chief Linklater to provide some comments. At 10 o'clock, we will get right into business, the in-camera session. So we're going to need a motion to go in camera at that point. We'll have a discussion on who can stay in the room during the in-camera session. On the agenda, we have the Social Services Strategic Advancement. That topic will be led by Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse, as well as Faulkner's LLP. We'll take a break. This morning I was reminded it's good to have a break, and then we'll continue on with the discussion for the rest of the morning. 12 o'clock lunch, and I understand lunch is served here. At 1 o'clock, again, the Social Services Strategic Advancement. Chiefs and technicians, representatives from Chiefs of Ontario and the Assembly of First Nations to provide some comments on the discussions that are being held. Again, that'll be led by Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse and Faulkner's LLP. We'll take a short break this afternoon, and then we have the resolution that we would like to present. It's a resolution regarding the Provisional Final Settlement Agreement, and that's the discussion that will be taking place today. At that point, once the resolution has been dealt with, we will come out of in camera and then we will open it up again. We do have the coordination and the oversight team on Social Services Strategic Advancement. So that's on the agenda for 3:45. Again, that'll be led by Deputy Grand Chief Bobby Narcisse, Joanne of Social Services Strategic Advancement. And then we'll wrap up about 4:45. 5 o'clock, we'll have the closing prayer. So that's the agenda for today. For tomorrow, again, registration opens at 8 o'clock. We'll get started here in the meeting room at 9 o'clock with the drum and the opening prayer. We'll have the call to order, a very quick summary, recap of day one, and then get right into business again. At 9:30, and then this session here will be open. It's not in camera. The Social Services Strategic Advancement. We'll have a video on the band rep program, First Nations band representatives, and the band rep advisory. So again, that's going to be led by Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse, Joanne McMillan, Director of Social Services, Strategic Advancement, and as well as Jessica McLaughlin, the band rep policy analyst. So that's going to be at 9:30. We'll have a break, and then we'll be required to go in camera again. 10:45, we'll need a motion to go in camera. The social services strategic advancement. Again, these are discussions that are being held, that are taking place. The NAN Canada Choose Life table, as well as work that's been completed since 2018, a resolution that was passed in 2018. So it's a report on that, as well as the NAN Canada Mutual Commitments 12-month work plan to achieve a final settlement. Again, that'll be presented by Deputy Grant Chief Narcisse and Joanne McMillan. So we'll have lunch, again, here in the room. At 1 o'clock, we'll come back out of in-camera. This will be open again. 1 o'clock tomorrow, we'll have the head electoral officer for the 2024 NAN election. That'll be held at the Kiwawan Conference this August. So we'll have an update on that. 1:45, social services support and implementation. We'll have the Choose Life program, Jordan's Principle. And again, that'll be led by Deputy Grant Chief Narcisse. And we'll have Marla Murray, the Choose Life program manager, and Joyce Spence, the Jordan's Principle manager. They'll be leading that presentation. A short break, and 2:45, the social services support and implementation, the family well-being program, enhanced funding gender-based violence, led by Deputy Narcisse, and we'll have Sheila Marchinson, the family well-being program manager. 3:30, social services support and implementation, youth initiatives, and the Ushkadza Council. Deputy Narcisse will be leading that, and then we'll have Joseph Carew, youth initiatives manager, and Mallory Solomon from the Ushkadza Youth Council. And then we'll start the wrap-up at 4:15, closing remarks with Grant Chief Fiddler and Deputy Grant Chief Narcisse, and the closing prayer and the closing song. So that's the agenda, draft agenda that's before you. Again, a lot of important discussion that needs to take place, especially, well, throughout the full 2 days, but important direction that needs to be provided on day one. So, miwe the agenda. I'll need a mover and seconder, and then open it up if you have any comments. And then we'd like to accept the agenda. You move? Okay, moved by Cad Lake Chief Wesley. Seconder, Chief Munoz. Any discussion on the resolution? Yeah. There you go.
Morning, everybody. I have a number of concerns, actually, with the agenda. It's now after...
Actually, sorry, if you can introduce yourself
Yeah,
and
sorry.
the First Nation.
Kayla Vio, Tegmo Nation proxy for Chief Archibald. I'm just wondering, you know, it's after 9:30, and the afternoon you have a slot for a resolution, and we haven't seen a final settlement agreement in front of us, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. I know everyone else here hasn't either. So I'm really not sure why we're jumping the gun on that and putting that on the agenda, assuming that the chiefs and proxies are prepared to even entertain a resolution at this stage.
So suggestion is we will have the discussion this morning and this afternoon. It's your call, chiefs, whether you wish to entertain a resolution. So we'll make that decision at that point. But at this point, the recommendation is that there is a draft resolution. At that point, we can have a discussion. You can deal with it, or you can defer it until tomorrow, or make that decision at that point. So that's my recommendation. It's not set in stone. We don't have to deal with it at that point.
Just a question, will we receive a copy of the final settlement agreement?
I don't want to get into the actual presentation, but I'm going to look to the team. I believe that is part of the presentation.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Miigwech, any more? If not, so this is the resolution to accept the agenda. Any opposition? All in favor? No abstentions? Okay, Miigwech. So we will follow that agenda that has been presented, of course, with the potential for modifications if required later this afternoon. So with that, I'd like to turn it over and call upon Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler to come and address the Assembly.
Miigwech, Adam and Summer. Good morning, good now. Gumakanak, umagagin ko na big. Gumina and kinagnak. Gumina ikok, ksihak. Gumina stomach. Goja bawatis jig. Goja mina. Good morning to all of you. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the leadership that's around the room for taking the time to join us here today and tomorrow. I also just want to acknowledge the executive, our team, our staff. But I want to just also start off by acknowledging Chief Michelle Solomon. We had invited her to be a part of this assembly for the opening, but unfortunately could not be here. So I just want to acknowledge her and her leadership, her community, and the territory that we are gathered here today, Fort William First Nation. I also want to acknowledge some of the communities that have really struggled the last few days with the loss of their loved ones. As many of you know, Matagami First Nation lost two of their community members on the same day, just a few days ago on Friday. And it was very difficult to hear the news and speaking with Chief Jennifer Constant, and just the shock that they all felt. It's a small community, Matagami. I think there's about 250 people that live there. We were just there a couple of weeks ago, meeting with the leadership and their team, and just how hard they are working to make their community to be safe, to be healthy, and just trying to encourage their youth, the children in that community to live the good life. And we were there with their Choose Life team when we were there. And so we will think about Chief Constant, her council, the people in Matagami, and especially the children in Matagami, that they'll be safe and that they'll be supported as they go through these very difficult times. I also just want to acknowledge our former Grand Chief Charles Fox. He lost his son Lyle yesterday afternoon. And we know that Lyle had been struggling with his health for some time, but it's still a very painful loss for the family. So I just want to acknowledge Charles and his family, including Derek, in the community of Bearskin Lake, for the loss of Lyle. And also just to remember those that are struggling and in so many of our communities with mental health and addictions and everyone that's impacted by those. You probably have seen the agenda, what we'll be talking about the next 2 days. This will be a very important meeting that you will be having. Children. It's about our kids and in our communities. And it's to try to figure out that path forward. That we've been involved for NAN since 2015, 2016 with this Human Rights Tribunal case. But for Cindy Blackstock, who launched this very important, I would call it landmark case. It goes even way back, back to 2007, 2008. And so we've been at this for some time now, in this colonial court process. But we're at a point now where we are close to coming to a final agreement. I think we can almost see the finish line. But before we can cross that finish line, we need to share with you all this information about what's in the agreement, what's not in the agreement, what does this mean for your community in terms of your ability and your capacity to be able to support your own children. And to me, that is what this agreement or this proposed settlement agreement represents, is to build capacity to empower our own communities and our own families to be able to look after their own children so that we don't see any more of our children being taken away from our communities. And so that's what today will be about, is to walk through with you the document itself, the agreement. And I'm very thankful for this meeting I had last week. I was just traveling back from Toronto from our mental health summit. And at the airport, at Billy Bishop Airport, I saw Chief Brennan Chinowap. And he was talking about this meeting. He wasn't sure if he was going to be here from Wapkika. But he was talking about as a chief, the meetings that you attend as well. You get so much information, technical information. You get numbers and fancy charts on the screen, and you're expected to try to absorb everything in real time. And sometimes you're asked to make a decision on something that you've just been presented with, usually for the first time. And so I acknowledge your concern, Kayla. I think that's a concern that many of our leadership has as well. That this will be the first opportunity for you to look at this. And as Adam said this morning, this is your assembly. All we do is we prepare information the best way that we can. We prepare the draft agenda, but ultimately you adopt the agenda, you adopt the rules and procedures, and you adopt any proposed resolutions that are brought before you, which is what will happen again today. But we will do our best to give you this information in a way that all of us can absorb and receive and understand. And it's a lot of information because this is a long time coming. It's 17 years that this litigation has taken place. And during that time, especially after NAN made the decision to intervene, to seek intervener status back in 2015, we've come back to you over and over again to make sure that we are following through with that original mandate that you gave us back in 2015 to seek intervener status, to ensure that the uniqueness of NAN, the unique challenges that we have, especially with the remoteness issues, are reflected or are part of that conversation or those negotiations. And more importantly, to ensure that the unique challenges that we have at NAN are reflected in the final settlement agreement, which we believe it is. And we will share that information with you later on today. And I just want to acknowledge our team, including the Chiefs Council, that have given over these last few years. I also have Deputy Gun Chief Bobby Narcisse for his leadership. And try to take his team a few days ago with that Boston Bruins. Yeah. So he's been in rough shape. And I just want to say that this agreement is not perfect. Like, I know we all have our own wish list. You know, we think this is what our communities need, or maybe our agencies or our tribal councils. Not everything is in here, in the agreement. But I can tell you that our team, our negotiators, did their very best to represent the interests of the families and communities that you represent. And I hope that as you go through this document today and tomorrow, that you will see that. I also want to say that as NAN chiefs, you are and you will be the first ones in the region, in the country, to actually go through this. And what I've been saying is that we have earned that right to be the first one in line, because we've invested so much of our time, our energy, our resources to this process. But we want them to feel supported. We want them to be healthy and happy, and we want them to grow up in their own homes, in their own communities. And so that's what we will do today. So this is the beginning of the process. You know, it's 99% complete. You know, there's that 1% that we still have to see through. And there will be other assemblies. 2 weeks from now, we will be traveling to Six Nations for the Chiefs of Ontario Regional Assembly. And this will be on the agenda as well. And in July, we will be traveling to Montreal for the AFN National Assembly. And this will be on the agenda as well. And so we need to, while we have this opportunity today and tomorrow, just to organize ourselves so that when we go to these regional or national assemblies that we are prepared, that we are strategic in terms of how we will represent our communities at those assemblies. And I just want to, I feel like I need to apologize to those that are community members that are listening, either by video or by attending this meeting space, that we will most likely have to excuse you at a good part of today. And I apologize for that. But because of the status of this final settlement agreement, the fact that it's not complete yet, that there are still some outstanding issues that have to be addressed and resolved, that we need to have most of the proceedings today to be in camera, meaning that it'll be a private discussion with the leadership. So for those of you listening, and for those of the community members that are here, I apologize for that. And we will do our best to share this information with you, as I said, in a way that will make sense to all of us. And last thing I will say is to just to be honest, to ask questions that you have. I know that as you go through the agenda today, that you will probably have more questions, and this is your opportunity to ask us, the questions you have, and we will do our best to answer them. Because one of the principles that we work with on any sector, not just on this issue, is this idea of free, prior, and informed consent. That's your right. That any issue that you're being asked to make a decision on, you need to, first of all, have that free, prior, and informed consent. And so that's always in the back of my mind, that we cannot just rush through the process and ask you to make a decision, putting you on the spot. And so I just want to, again, say miigwech to all of you. I know it's hard leaving your communities with so much going on, but just recognizing the importance of the discussion that we need to have, the fact that you're here means a lot to us, to the executive and our team. So miigwech, and I hope that your loved ones back home are safe while you're here. Miigwech.
Boozhoo Grand Chief Alan Fiddler. I welcome Deputy Grand Chief Bobby Narcisse up.
Bonjour, Wachier. Aning. Nin Bobby Narcisse, Indigenous Kaz. We can get you in and Mamma Kai Beni Buyang. She couldn't go and get the bedroom next couple of days or more. Yeah, we can do them drain them. Zama new hockey team, they lost. I was kidding. I just want to say, yeah, Grand Chief is right. I'm a little in mourning right now, but hey, it was a hell of a season in terms of hockey, and I know it's very important to our communities and all that. But thanks for bringing that up. I was doing well this morning. But yes, I'd like to acknowledge the drum this morning. I'd like to acknowledge our elder Stella for opening us up in a good way. We're very fortunate to have Stella as our elder throughout this journey. She's been there with our Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families, guiding us in the way. She brings a lot of experience as well. I really like to acknowledge her, that she has been involved with child and family service issues in her region, so we were very fortunate to have her with us. I'd also like to acknowledge that we are on traditional territory of the Fort William First Nation. We did invite Chief Solomon, but due to her schedule, hopefully she'll be here tomorrow as well to welcome you all. So we bring greetings from her. I just, before we get into the work, we have, I know, a couple of days here. We have a very robust agenda that we're going to be looking at. And it's been my honor and privilege to be your Deputy Grand Chief on this file. Over the past few years, I know I was working as a director before I was Deputy Grand Chief. And in that time, like even then, we've taken direction from you, the chiefs, to look at those important aspects of that is dear to you and your community members. And the fact that our communities are so unique across Treaty 5 and Treaty 9, that our communities have various challenges with respect to remoteness, with respect to access, with respect to the cost of living, the cost of doing business within our communities. And I know our focus is social services, child welfare, the family, children. I know this is our focus for the next couple of days, but I know the work that we're doing and the work that we are accomplishing together also spills into other areas, like education, like health. You know, we'll be talking about like reports on Jordan's Principle. We'll be talking about different areas of Choose Life. You know that Choose Life is only offered within Anishinaabe Nation communities. And the creation of the Choose Life was brought by you, Chiefs and Assembly, because we were going through a lot of turmoil with respect to the suicide epidemic of our children, youth, and families. And we wanted a specific pathway or resources that were supposed to be, that are developed at the community level, such as your Choose Life programs, all the different areas that surround those prevention activities. And we've been traveling around to various communities looking at some of the work that's happening. We have communities wanting their own ideas with mental health supports. How do we support our children, youth, and families? How do we keep the family circle together? We've also advocated for NAN-specific processes and creating your own band reps, your First Nation rep programs. Every day, like you as chiefs and your council members get calls from your community members always asking for assistance or help. And we're always looking at it at a way where it's not really giving them a hand out, but really a hand up in terms of how do we keep your community members, your children, wherever they may reside. You know, like many of you have membership that live in urban centers, whether it be in Winnipeg or Thunder Bay, Timmins, anywhere. And you get calls. And these are different areas that we've been working to really establish that your First Nation, your community, your tribal council has an opportunity to reach out to those, your family members, your nation members as well. So that is a lot of the work that we've been doing through your direction, through your resolutions, and moving ahead. Another thing, too, that you'll be hearing about is our Family Wellbeing Initiative as well. I'd like to acknowledge a lot of our staff that are here from Choose Life, from Family Wellbeing, from our various divisions within social services, to be there. They're here at your behest. They're here to really assist at the community level in developing many of these supports. But we know that there are still ongoing challenges. There's still the challenges of opioid abuse. There is still challenges of access. There is still challenges that many of our children still have to leave our communities to access very specialized needs. And this is where we want to, this is our role right there, is to advocate and help, you access many of those community-based resourcing to deal with many of your community-based issues. And as you know, like NAN is a conduit, an advocacy organization to assist you in your communities to really develop many of these initiatives at the community level. And it's been quite a journey. We've just recently had our band rep conference in Winnipeg, this past February, where we got all the different First Nations reps together to really look at where on the spectrum we're all at. We have some communities that are still starting off their First Nations rep program. And we have other communities that are really moving ahead and making a lot of good strides in opening up their own offices in, say, in Winnipeg or in Thunder Bay or in Timmins or wherever their citizens and their families are. So we continue to help support those initiatives as well, advocate for needs-based resourcing to ensure that your community, you have the resources to really work with your citizens wherever they may reside. Another area that I really want to emphasize next couple of days is the fact that this final settlement agreement, I know we're going to be getting into this as well. There's going to be a lot of questions, and we invite all the questions as well. And as I'd like to echo Grand Chief's comments that we have the first kick at the can. You as chiefs has given the mandate to Anishinaabe Nation to seek intervener status in this very important court case, a court case that has found the federal government guilty against discriminating your children within child welfare. And so we want to work with you, we want to work with your agencies as well, to look at a path forward and how best and how can we maximize all the resources available to our children, youth, and families. And so with respect to this final settlement agreement that is being negotiated as well with the federal government, you have various players like the AFN, the Assembly First Nations, you have the Chiefs of Ontario that also have standing within this case, and also through your resolution, your mandate, Anishinaabe Nation also has intervener status with this very monumental court case. Why? Well, you've said it. And you've said the fact that, well, we are unique. We are very remote. Our communities are far behind in terms of getting resource to help our children, youth, and families. With all the issues that are plaguing many of our communities, such as the lack of housing, the lack of clean drinking water, the lack of access to specialized services, the fact that many of our children require special needs, whether it be autism or all these different areas, our community members still have to leave the community to access these areas. And this is why we are working to really develop a needs-based funding formula to be used at the community to be more reflective of the true costs and the true needs of your First Nation. And when we're looking at this final settlement agreement, what's it going to look like? What's it going to mean? It's going to mean different for each community, and we really acknowledge that as well. And just going back to what Grand Chief said, we have the first glance. You chiefs are the first in the country that'll be looking at this final settlement agreement. It's basically almost hot off the presses, so nowhere else in Canada will they be looking at this final settlement agreement. And so there'll be other opportunities for you to review it as well. There's going to be presentations at the Chiefs of Ontario in June. Also, there's going to be presentations at the AFN in July as well on this final settlement agreement. We get the first look at it. And I'm sure there's going to be questions. Please ask those questions. And we did put like a spot for resolutions on there moving forward with it. That was just like a placeholder for that. We don't want to ask you, if you're not comfortable, to pass a resolution that you're not comfortable with. We know that you want to, take it back. You want to have an opportunity to really talk with your community members on what that means as well. But I think given the presentation, and I think it's very, I think you'll find it very interesting in terms of what is inside the final settlement agreement. And I'm looking forward to the presentation myself in terms of what does it mean. So I'd like to really acknowledge the negotiating team and our legal team for really pressing our unique needs with this final settlement agreement. It will have very important areas with remoteness. Not just, our fly-in communities, yes, they have very unique challenges, but also our road access communities as well are also included in the remoteness aspect of it, because we know that there's various degrees of remoteness. Many times even our road access communities have to travel far distances as well. That takes into account all those different areas with respect to remoteness and the RQ work. So, but I'd like to also conclude my opening comments by acknowledging also our executive here. For many years, I've served under Grand Chief Fiddler in this regard as well. As a director, I served under Deputy Grand Chief Annabette Achny-Peniscum, who chaired the file as well in this early area. I was one of her technical staff. And also I had the opportunity and pleasure to work with Deputy Grand Chief Victor Linklater, as he was also part of our Chiefs Committee in really starting the early stages of these discussions. And I'd like to also give them an opportunity as well to address you and welcome you as well to this assembly. But although our portfolios are very diverse, this really intersects a lot of the work that we're doing and overlaps in education, it overlaps in health, it overlaps in various areas that support our families as well. So I'd like to give them an opportunity to really speak with you as well. First, I'd like to invite Deputy Grand Chief Annabette Achny-Peniscum to say a few words.
Bonjour. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, chiefs and proxies and our advisors for being here with us. And I also want to acknowledge the prayer that was shared and the prayer for us by our elder Stella and those that came to share the drum. In the next few days, you will have an opportunity to hear information, to be part of making decisions. And I ask that you reflect and think about our children. Since the invasion of the foreign systems to our families, our children were always the target of injustice. We have many policies, laws, regulations that took our children from us, or for us to have that authority to make decisions where our children were concerned. The residential school system, that was meant to take our children from us and our power to protect them and to make decisions and to keep them with us. And then you have other regulations, other laws and legislations. But when you, as NAN leadership, at that time, I was entrusted to carry the social services file And with the guidance of the Chiefs Committee on Child and Family, we took that step to make that application to become interveners in this particular Canadian Human Rights Tribunal case. Because you, as NAN leadership, you knew and took that step that our children were priority, that our children needed to know that we cared and loved them, and that we are taking back that authority to make those decisions with them and for them. And we have an opportunity to do that now. And we have made great progress. We still have a lot of work to do. And that is why you being present here is so important and is so valuable. Yesterday, I went to the shelter house to serve dinner, and we also went to deliver meals to those people living in encampments. I know many who come here have seen those tents, and we've seen those tents in other cities as well. Toronto, Sulcote, Kenora. And it was very sad to see our young people. You know, there was like, to me, they looked like teenagers. They were young. And they were coming to get a meal, and some of them were living in tents. And some of them were our people. And then some were Caucasian as well. And so, and I know that the work that we're doing here is to prevent that from growing, like in the future, so that, our children will and our families will have the resources to stay as a unit and to work together along with your support. Because those laws, those legislations, those regulations, and those policies that would cause us to be divided and to be segregated, those are the things that we need to work on and ensure that we change those. We still have to deal with this on-reserve, off-reserve policy, which also is another, that causes that division. We have to ensure that we address that, because we have to take care of our children no matter where they are. If they're in our community, if they're living in a city or somewhere else, if they're in an institution or within the child welfare system, we have a responsibility to take care of them. And so that we need to ensure that is part of, one of the gaps that we address. So I am very grateful that I get to work, with the executive here, and along with your mandates that you have provided to us, and also to our advisors. It is, and the staff as well. And we're very committed to addressing those injustices, to addressing those gaps, to ensure that we all move forward together. So Miigwech, and thank you for providing me this time to speak. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Miigwech, Deputy Grand Chief Shinipaniskum. At this time, we also like to invite Deputy Grand Chief Victor Linklater to say a few words. Victor?
Wache. Last night I was thinking about this meeting, and it's been on my mind for a while. And the whole reason why I came to NAN, or even actually got into politics, was because how can we protect children, restore families, and rebuild our communities? when you look at this agreement, it talks about First Nations Child and Family Services. What you have to be reminded that NAN, our leaders of the past, have fought valiantly for us to get certain things in place. Tikinag and Pigitano were established in the late 80s. Because our numbers were so high compared to the rest of the country per capita, even way back then, we've been in crisis in our communities, and we are still there. Kids in care, families breaking apart. And one thing as we go through this exercise, and we have technicians and sometimes even us as executives, and we hold different places. As chiefs, you don't have the luxury of just checking out after a meeting and say, okay, you know, we made a decision here and there. You're the ones that's going to have to look at those children, those families. And as we lose more and more people to addictions and overdoses and suicides, it reminds us that, you know what, we suffer great loss, but a lot of times they're still leaving children, grandchildren, spouses behind. And we need all hands on deck. We need to work together to make this decision. Just sitting there thinking, you know what, I worked with Koiskakagamik, Terry Wabus, Anna Betty on this file, Grand Chief Bobby was there. I remember sitting there as a young board member on Pigitano, sitting there with Earl Chichu and representatives of our nation fighting remoteness way back then. Bringing that information to NAN, sitting on the Chiefs Committee as a technical person to say, how can we address remoteness? That is just one issue in the great fight that we have to save our children. And I would challenge the chiefs to ask a lot of questions. It is a big document. It's things that could affect our children's and our community's future. As this journey has happened, before I came to NAN, I ran for my First Nation because I wanted to get into band rep services for my First Nation when the tribunal came out. We've been fighting government every step of the way. I encouraged our First Nation to build their own child well-being law. We have followed the processes. But what you have to be reminded is ISK is not our friend. They have been our greatest oppressor. They like to divide, they like to conquer. As we come down in the next few days, I mean, there's certain things that scare me. I'll never lie to a chief. I'll never try to lead you down a path that, you know, without giving you all the information. As we go through this process, I encourage you to ask lots of questions. Because we are in a fight for survival. Last week, I got the pleasure to speak at the Mental Health Summit. I shared what I went through as a young man. I had to open myself to be vulnerable. And the sad thing is, we are seeing a generation that are still struggling with drugs, that are still struggling with self-worth, you know, wanting to die rather than to live. We're still seeing the breakup of our families, and it's a great responsibility as you sit here as leaders to make sure we get it right. Because I don't want my people that come up after me and say, you know, what have you done? What did you agree to? There's some good things there. There's some things that you really need to ask questions on because you can't deal with things in isolation. We have had our champions that have been fighting this cause. You know, without Cindy Blackstock, 2007, bringing out the, you know, the fact that this country discriminates against our First Nation children, families, and communities, we wouldn't be where we are today. But we have to be very careful as AFN, COO, NAN, that we don't discriminate against our own children through decisions that will hurt them in the future. And these are tough decisions. So I encourage to have the leadership, you know, challenge. Ask those tough questions. Leave nothing behind, because we got to get it right. If it means we need to take more time, so be it. We have a responsibility for our future. And I'll leave you with that. Kind of excited to go through the presentation. You know, I do have questions, I do have concerns. But as leaders, I challenge you, no time to be a politician. We need to stand up and exude leadership as we lead our nations. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Grand Chief Linklater. Yes, so today, the next couple of days, is our opportunity to really look at the final settlement agreement, what it looks like, what does that entail for our children, youth, and families. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. You as chiefs, you as leadership have jurisdiction over your children, over your families, over your members, wherever they may reside. And although there's technicians, and we're going to bring you some information on that, like Deputy Linklater said, it's a big document. It has some very plausible areas in it for our communities. One of our negotiators to be here as well as our legal staff as well within Faulkner's. And I know, oh geez, we don't want the lawyers to be dominating the discussion, but at the same time, it is a legal proceeding, and especially it's in the courts. It's a legal document as well, so we will need that guidance from our legal team as well. But that doesn't really preclude that you have the opportunity to ask those particular questions. I'd like to reiterate, we have the first chance to look at the agreement, the first chiefs in the country to really look at this final settlement agreement. And it's going to take a while. There's a lot of things that are being presented in there. And I know it's like close to a 120-page document, but we want to also look at ways to give you basically the highlights of the document as well. So we want you to really have an opportunity to look at it and also review it and also ask questions as well. Before we go on and go back to our chair, I'd like to also say that we got you a gift. And I don't want to bring a hockey focus to it again, but we did give you a Stanley Cup. And although your teams may not be in the Stanley Cup, but you do. So we gave you one of those, and hopefully that you'll enjoy them. Huh?
A mini Stanley Cup.
Mini Stanley Cup. I know some of you haven't seen it since 6 to 7. So anyways, thank you for that, and I'll put it back to your chair. And we'll go with the next proceedings as well. So let's get moving, and yeah, let's get on with this thing.
Miigwech, Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse. So when Grand Chief mentioned the Bruins, I'll say it. Well, the Bruins eliminated my Leafs. And when I was coming to the meeting and I knew I would see Deputy Narcisse, I didn't feel so bad knowing that the Bruins are now out. I'm going to add to that, put some salt on the wound there. Anyway, we got 4 teams left. Okay, let's get down to business. Let's roll up our sleeves. We got very important issues to talk about. So the next session will be in camera. A reminder, it's a strategy session. Chiefs need to be able to advocate for their communities and their people in an open way where the other side doesn't hear the discussion and the debate, where government does not hear this internal strategy session. Because of that, we will need to go in camera. So I'm going to ask for a mover to go in camera, and as part of the in-camera session, we are going to be turning off the live feed. In the room are chiefs. If you have members of your council, so chief and council, if you have your own staff that you require in the room, let us know and we can let them stay in the room. The advisory councils can stay, the elders council, the women's council, and the youth council. All NAN technicians can stay in the room. Otherwise, it is a chief's discussion. So with that, I'm going to ask for a mover to go in camera. Can I have a mover to go
I got a question first before you get on. It's Gary Ennis.
Okay, Miigwech, Chief Wesley, all in favor? Raise your hand. Any objections? I see none. So we're going to go in camera. If I can have the live feed turned off. Also, if I can have the technicians have a look at the Zoom or the, is it Zoom or Teams? Just to make sure it's only chiefs that are online.